Hi everyone, it's Mercedes, the pastor's wife, here with you today, and I want to introduce you to a brand new channel, and it's actually called Mercedes, the pastor's wife, which will be on YouTube. I'll be uploading videos that talks about the life, the shaping, the ups and the downs of being a leader in the church, the pastor's wife in particular. Now, there's an area that is rarely talked about. We are seen as the mummies or the mamas and the papas, if you like, within the church. We have our own lives to take care of. So we have to make sure that things are working well within our own home. That's what the Bible says. We must be good caretakers of our own homes before we can be caretakers in God's house. So we have a double whammy going on. We are responsible on both levels. And you can imagine that sometimes life isn't so easy. We go through all the struggles and all the ups and downs as any other family would. We're all of the same sorts of personalities, characteristics, and some people get along, some people don't because they differ in their thinking. And all of that kind of humanness, if I can put it that way, human living, human experience is bottled into both our own family and within the church family, on top of the social issues, the emotional and the social issues that we have to live with. Then there are the political issues that it gets interwoven into our lives and into the church. If no other place we've seen that recently, it's with the global pandemic of a virus and managing our families and managing the church. And the topic I want to talk about in this video, and it may be in several podcasts because it may be a bit long, you don't want to be hearing me rambling on, but it's about burnout. Some people think, oh, that just happens to some people and not others. There's spiritual people. Spiritual people, if they don't take care of themselves, will also burn out. And burnout is not a good thing. If you're burned out, you're no good to yourself and you're no good to anybody else. So today I want to bring a few words to you along that line and hope that it'll help somebody. And obviously, if you like what you hear and you would like to hear more from me about what it is, the ups and downs, the nice things, and maybe the not so nice things sometimes of being a pastor's wife and being a leader in the church, then why don't you go ahead and subscribe? If you like the content of today, then I would so appreciate if you liked it. Do you know, I always look at it this way, that you have an elastic band, and that elastic band just gets stretched repeatedly. It gets pulled wide and it bounces back. It gets pulled again and it bounces back. And how many times can that elastic band just keeps getting stretched and stretched? How many times will that happen before it loses its ability to pull back, to snap back, to find its formation again, to get in place again, to get back in shape? How many times can it keep on being stretched and that it doesn't either pop or loses its elasticity? Now, it is the same thing with our ability to just keep meeting the needs, keep going, keep going, keep going. There has to be a point where we say, hang on a moment, I can only go this far, I can only do this much, and understand who we are. And you're going to have to be able to take care of your heart. You're going to have to take care of your heart. You can't afford to get bitter and for there to be any bitterness laid at the root of your heart, because it will spoil everything. It will be a template in the way that you deal with other people who may present in the way that they've presented. And you will close the door before an opportunity, before you even get a chance to know who that person really is. So the Bible says that we must take care of our hearts because out of it flows the issue of life. And as I say, we can have prayed with an individual, and that's what hurts. When you've done all of those things and they walk away, and sometimes not in the nicest way, and they say things that you just don't recognize. You don't recognize that it's the same person, and you never felt that that person could say those things. And some of the misunderstanding, that nobody wants to be, to reconcile differences with, and they walk away with hurt and so on and so forth. In certain what I would say is maintain your heart, love them, keep an open door, pray for them, and pray for the best outcome for them, that the Lord would lead them. And you know, there is a place in the Bible that talks about a tree that wouldn't bear, and the farmer felt, well, every tree that's planted, the farmer plants it with the expectation of results, and it wouldn't bear fruit, and the cry came out to chop it down, and the mediating cry was, no, let's dig around it a little more, a few more times, a few more years, and let's see what happens. And that's what we have to do sometimes with some folks. When we see things not working out, just try and put some fertilizer of love in that root space and see what happens. Sometimes it changes for the better, and the people that we pour into, it's unrecognizable who they become after a time. Just pray for them, and let them do what they need to do. Don't get bitter, because it will choke us up, and it will even kill, and it definitely will make us sick. Love them, but focus on what you're called to do. I've seen people lose their sense of focus and direction because an individual has got so deeply under their skin that it's difficult for them to unravel and unwind. Think about the 99 who's left in the sheepfold. But there is one that went astray. And yes, Jesus gave us that valuable lesson as a good shepherd, that you would go after the one and ensure that that one is safe and back in the fold. There's willingness on the part of that one to go back to the fold with a shepherd. But there are some sheep that we have. They are in and out, in and out, in and out. Because they're not actually attached to Christ. And we need to watch out for that, because that can cause a draining of our time, of our energy, and leading to a sense of burnout. You don't know what else to suggest or what else to do with that person, because everything you've tried, it's gone pear-shaped with them. So all I'm saying by that is just be careful not to lose your focus on what God has called you and I to do with the 99, the wheat in the house that God would use, because the one or the tare can actually demand a lot of our time and a lot of our energy. Don't get burned out because of that. If you're married, it's important when you're going through tough times to be getting along with your spouse. It is not a time to be squabbling and fighting over everything. It is a time that you turn inwards towards each other and support each other through those difficult times. When you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling that you don't know which way is up, you feel like you're underwater, deep underwater, and you don't know where the surface is, you need to know who's in your corner with you. You need to be working toe to toe with your spouse. If there's anybody else in the world that you need with you at that point, it's your spouse. And if you're not married, make sure that you have a mentor or somebody who's with you, somebody that you can turn to, somebody who knows you, somebody who's got your back, that you know that you can spend time just sharing with them your innermost being, your weaknesses, your vulnerability, and your need as you go through. Some of you are lacking a salary. You're, as I said, you're a shepherd. You're doing the work, and the world may see you washing your face every day, looking good, going to church, smiling, happy, and they don't know that you can hardly pay your bills. They don't know that you're getting letters from debt collectors because you're not actually getting a salary, you're not actually getting a wage. And they may look at you and say, you see that those church people, all they want is people's money. And they haven't got a clue that if somebody at church don't come up to you and say, here's a £20 to put some petrol in your car to get home, that you've gone to church in faith, believing that God will open a door for you. They don't know that. They just think, oh, you see those so-called pastors, all they want is your money. But I would say this to you: don't suffer in silence. Speak to your trustee board and let them know the crisis or the situation that you're in. And don't just carry the weight of the responsibility, the financial responsibility yourself. Speak to the trustee board and let them know that the situation within the church, and who then come up with help with the rent, so that you're not the only one bolstering the rent all the time just to keep those doors open. Speak to the trustee board. Speak to the elders. Speak to your leadership team and get them to understand the weight of responsibility that you're carrying financially, and allow them to support you in what you're doing. As I said before, you and I can be the mama and the papa in the church, but understand this, that spending time with your family, turning in towards your spouse, spending time together, valuing your family, valuing yourself. I tell you what, the pastor's kids can get a rough time sometimes in church because they often get forgotten. It was my daughter the other day who said to me, and I know she won't mind me saying this, she said, Dad always has a word for other people in the church, but he sometimes doesn't seem to, often he doesn't seem to get a word for us, because they're like the pastor's kids, the pastor's kids know you're kind of like there, and we know you're there, and so on and so forth. But don't forget our children, that they are part of the membership of our church, and they need a word, a public word sometimes, as to how great they're doing, how good they're doing, and how we value the fact that they stand with us in ministry. So I'm saying all of these things today to say, value who you are, value your family. If you're going through a rough time, talk about it. Know who to talk about it with, though. It's not everybody can manage the weight of what you and I carry. Don't be burnt out because of the ministry. Find time to be alone. Love the presence of God, because that's a place of refreshing. Go with God through the valleys of Baca. There are times we have to go through the valley of Baca. I believe that's Psalm 84. Have a read, and it will tell you how we go through that place. We go through it. It's a very dry and deserty place, full of dryness, arid. But when we go through it, God provides a time of refreshing, and we bring refreshing to those places. So I encourage you today, don't get burnt out. Don't get burnt out because people turn away from us. Don't get burnt out. Turn to God. Let God be the witness of all that we've sown into the lives of individuals. Don't get burnt out because we've placed ourselves at the back somewhere. Know that if we're not okay, the church can't be okay, because we are the mamas and the papas of the church. We are the mothers and the fathers of the church. We are the shepherds of the church. And if we're not okay, then the church won't be okay. So I pray that these things that I've shared with you today will help you. And I speak from experience. And I pray that it will help you to take time out for yourselves, and do not feel guilty about it. The Lord requires it of you to be okay. Do you know what he did with the disciples from time to time? He took them out of the flow of ministry. And he would say things like, come away with me, come away with me. Let's find some time together. And he allowed them to just spend time relaxing, enjoying each other's company, just cooking and doing nice things, playful things, silly things even. And he was okay with that because he designed for us to take time out to rest from busy schedules. If you like what is put out here, I'd like for you to like it, make your comment, and if you'd like for me to do more of this, because I believe God has called me into the field of coaching and mentoring, and I'm not afraid to put that out there. That's exactly where I'm going. God has taken me through much, and it is for me to give much. More will be coming in this vein. Over and out.